Hello and welcome to another quick question, and this time we're going to look at a 4-marker question and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so here is the question in your booklet, and what you need to do first of all is have a good think about the question and start planning your ideas. As I've said in other 4-marker questions, for question 1, this is a relatively simple question. We need to do 4 things within the question. Firstly, we need to understand the message of the source. So in this case, the question says, source A is critical of the actions of Kennedy and Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis. How do you know? So we need to obviously get the message of the source to work out how it's critical. Then we need to get a little bit of evidence from the source to back that up, maybe some clear meaning or evidence. Then we need to explain with our knowledge how it is critical, and we might then explain at the end about how the provenance supports it is critical as well. Okay, so let's plan that now. To have a look at the source. What's the message? What's the provenance? What knowledge do you find useful? Have a look through a revision guide about Cuba to add some of your knowledge and some facts. So pause me now and plan your answer in your revision guide. So here's what I've gone for. So the content obviously shows Kennedy and Khrushchev are arm wrestling while sat on H-bombs, and Kennedy is about to press the button, clearly for nuclear destruction. Okay, clearly a message, therefore, suggesting that the Cuban Missile Crisis might lead to nuclear war, and we could use that phrase "mad" here as well. And the red button suggests, again, Kennedy is going to unleash nuclear war. So our knowledge then, the Cuban Missile Crisis has developed brinkmanship, as for 13 days tension developed over the blockade of Cuba. So Khrushchev's trying to put nuclear weapons on Cuba, only 400 miles away from Florida, and Kennedy's trying to stop him by blockading Cuba with his navy, and the world starts to fear nuclear war will develop. There was other instances like the bombing of a Russian submarine, all sorts, and the destruction of a spy plane, all sorts of things happening that suggest tension was massively increasing. So then we've got the provenance. It's a British viewpoint. Obviously, they're an ally of the USA. It's published on 29th of October. Now, the date is probably quite important, really, because the quarantine in Cuba has been taking place since the 21st of October, and the attack on the Russian submarine was the 27th of October. So if we know our dates really, really well, we can use that to explain why, by this stage, there's this real fear of nuclear war, because the tension has really got quite intense. Okay, so how do we answer this question? So again, as I said earlier, we want to just make sure we're doing 4 things. We want to give a clear message of how the source is very critical of their actions. We want to give a little bit of evidence to the source. We want to explain with our knowledge why the source is critical, and we can do it furthermore with a bit of provenance. So let's start off then with our first sentence and giving the message of the source. So source A is critical of the actions of Kennedy and Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis because give a message of the source that backs up it's a critical view, because a fear of nuclear war perhaps is developing. Okay, so write your first sentence now and then come back in a sec to check what could be a potential answer. So fill in your revision guide now, pause the video, away you go. Okay, so I've said source A is critical of the actions of Kennedy and Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis because it suggests they almost caused nuclear war. Okay, you could have a similar idea to that. That's the sort of message we have: fear of war, fear of mad, nuclear war, destruction of the world. That's the sort of idea we have about this. So then we need some evidence from the source. So again, pause me now for a couple of minutes and fill in some key evidence, 1 sentence key evidence from the source. Away you go. Very, very simple this. For example, Kennedy and Khrushchev are sat on H-bombs and about to press the button to fire the missiles, suggesting war is about to happen, of course. So why is this a critical view then? So we need a couple of sentences of knowledge now to explain how this is a critical view. So what's happening in the Cuban Missile Crisis that means that people fear mad and nuclear war? So give a couple of sentences of knowledge, pause me now and pick out the facts that best explain this. Okay, so here's my idea. This is a critical view because the Cuban Missile Crisis brought back significant levels of brinkmanship that almost led to mad. For 13 days, Kennedy refused to allow Russian ships to Cuba as he feared they were delivering nuclear warheads. However, Khrushchev tried to send Russian ships through the blockade, and the world thought there would be a nuclear war. So then we need to link. So furthermore, the source has a critical view as. Now, can we talk about the provenance? Who wrote it? When it was written? Why it was written to back this up? So see if you can give a sentence, maybe two, to explain how and why the provenance has a negative view. So over to you. Away you go. So finally, I've written, furthermore, the source has a critical view as it was published on October the 29th. By this time, tension had increased greatly as Cuba had been blockaded for a week and the USA had attacked a Russian submarine. Obviously, any of these things could have led to war. Okay? I hope you were successful with that. That all okay? And you've got those 4 key skills done. Right, so I hope you got full marks on that one. Well done if you did, and you've used your knowledge really successfully. Keep working through the revision guide, lots more questions to work through, and keep rewatching these videos as well. Really helps you to get that information in and the technique all correct for the exam. Okay, I'll see you another time soon. Bye bye for now.